What's the best Peerless product on the shelves today? And are they worth your money? Those are the questions we're going to be answering. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we're talking about Peerless. Now, I've become like a little bit of a Peerless fanboy recently, and I've collected a few of their different offerings. And today we're going to be doing a quick review of all four of them. I'm going to give you a quick ranking and whether or not I think that they're worth your money. I know these bottles are expensive. They're all ranging in between like 85 to like 120 bucks. So if you only want to buy one, which one should you be going after? That's what we're going to be covering today. We've got over here, we've got a single barrel store pick. This is just a straight bourbon coming in around like 6.5 years old. Then we've got the double oaked bourbon. Then we've got the toasted bourbon. And then we have the double oaked rye. This one is going to be the most expensive of the bunch, coming in around like 115-ish, depending on where you are. Anyways, I've already got these glasses poured. I know a lot of y'all are curious. This is an LAB shirt. He's kind of like my OG, like first big YouTuber that I kind of got into. But anyways, if you haven't seen the LAB's channel, he does a bunch of like wild and crazy stuff. So you should probably go check out his channel. But anyways, I'm inching on my way up into that 2,000 subscriber mark, guys. And once we get there, I'm going to be giving away the Weller Antique 107 as well as a John J. Bowman single barrel, just as a small token of my appreciation to you guys. We're about like 50 subscribers away at this point. So once we hit that 2,000 subscriber mark, these bottles are going to be coming to you guys. All these glasses are poured in order, so this one is going to be starting off with the single barrel bourbon, 6.5 years old. I paid about $85 for this one. Yeah, so like right away, I'm getting a little bit of a honey graham cracker there on the nose, with a little bit of like a cherry skin there, but it is a really sweet. A lot of vanilla there with some cherry. A little bit of like a honey graham cracker, but overall like pretty sweet, you know, and like relatively robust too. 6.5 years old, you know, holding legs pretty well. So pretty excited for this one. Anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. So this one is coming in at 114.8 proof. This is the Bigfoot bourbon. This is again a Mash and Journey store pick. So big fan of all their picks. So they always do a great job. Right away, like it's an explosion of like a French vanilla there note for me. And then it really is like leaning heavier over there into the cherry notes. And I feel like Peerless, just from like the different offerings that I've had, there is like this like rick housey like dankness, like funk to it. Not nearly as like strong as something that you would get in like a Willet product. A damp wood characteristic to it that is like really adding like a great depth of flavor there. Yeah. And then getting like a little bit of like a dark chocolate there on the finish. Like that dark chocolate note seems to be like pretty characteristic of a bunch of different Peerless products that I've had. So I think that might be a common theme as we move through these. So overall, I think that the palate is really robust. I think this is a fantastic pour. At $85, you really can't go wrong. You're getting a lot of like the confectionery, you know, sugars with French vanillas. If you're a sweet tooth, like those cherry notes, getting a lot of like that cherry skin, because it is a little bit drying there on the finish, which is great. You're not getting like too much of like an oak influence there, but it's definitely not coming across youthful at all. Overall, just incredibly solid bourbon there with a little bit of dark chocolate on the finish. So anyways, that's the Peerless single barrel. Next, we're going to the Peerless Double Oak. This is a batch 11 coming in at 108.3. I don't have any information on the mash bills on these because they're pretty tight on that stuff. So don't know the age, but I would imagine to be closer to like that 5 to 6 years age range. Anyways, double oaked. Honestly, I think that the normal single barrel bourbon has a little bit more of like a robust nose there. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely picking up a lot more of like richer, like deeper, richer, darker notes, where this one was like a little bit like lighter and brighter with like that graham cracker, like cherry skin. This one is reaching more on like a more like seasoned oak there. Granted, it is double oaked, but you are picking up more like woody, like dankness notes there. Yeah, a little bit more like almost like a cherry dark chocolate there. but it's very, very dark, sweet there as well. So anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. This is like it's a sweet forward oak product, and you get a lot of like that oak influence, and that oak influence is coming across and a lot of like dark chocolate, like heavy dark chocolate, almost sweet enough to be coming across as like a milk chocolate. Overall, like again, hit with like that vanilla note like right up front, and then it goes deep into like a sweeter chocolate, like a sweet dark chocolate, maybe almost reaching on milk chocolate. And then I'm getting a little bit of like a leathery tobacco there on the finish, but like, man, this is dark and rich like through and through. Yeah. No tannic notes. It is a scotch drying, and that's where like kind of like that leatheriness like comes into play there. But overall, this for a double oak product, like I think is fantastic and one of the best personally tasted. Like I haven't had like too many double oaks that have like really like blown me away, because a lot of times they can be like a little tannic and bitter and like overly drying. But I think that this double oak is fantastic. It's like a sweeter, like milkier chocolate, getting a lot of leathery tobacco notes and like a light white pepper there as well. So I mean, for like $90, I think it's a pretty good deal. I'm not saying it's like a value pour, but I think it's a solid bottle for $90. Pour 3 is the Peerless Toasted. This is a batch 1. I was able to pick this up at the distillery. It's a batch 1 coming in at 111.1 proof. So a little bit up over the double oak, but down from the single barrel. Wow. This is like by far the strongest nose I've had yet. This is so butterscotchy sweet there. Yeah, butterscotch, cinnamon, almost like a little bit like nutmeggy there. Yeah, but just like all butterscotch, cinnamon, very like confectionery, sugary, like very sweet there on the nose. So definitely the most robust that I've had yet. Anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. If they couldn't be getting better as I'm going through these, I mean, this like, again, like a lot of like toasted products that I've had, they can be like that butterscotchy note. It's just like way too dominant. Like the Michter's, toasted rye. I think that's just like, a very like a butterscotch bomb, which is great, but it's overly sweet for me. Coming into this, you're getting a whole bunch of like butterscotch, like straight up, like right up front. It's a huge butterscotch pop. And then it's coming over into like a good amount of cinnamon, and then like that leathery tobacco profile like really takes over, and then like hones down like that sweetness profile, which to me, I think some toasted products can be a little bit too sweet, which I really dig that like cinnamon leather tobacco there on the mid palate on this. Next up is the Double Oaked Rye. This one's coming in at 109.2 proof. So got real high hopes for this one, because the normal Double Oaked is fantastic. Wow. Man, I don't know if I just didn't have enough in the glass, but man, this is freaking fantastic. You're hit with like a lot of like those like herbal qualities, a lot of like peppery notes there on the nose, but then you get with like so much of like that sweetness coming from like that double oak profile. So you're picking up like those oak notes, but like it just smells so sweet with like that confectionery sugar. Like it smells like milk chocolate there, like on the nose, like it. Anyways, off to the palate. Cheers. Like these are like pretty similar. But you can definitely tell, like, if you were to be tasting these side by side, like sweeter, because it doesn't quite have the same level of rye spice, or the same rye spice where this one is a rye. You're hit with a lot of those peppery notes right up front, rye spice like all throughout, which is just enhancing that profile. That rye peppery spice is just dancing all over the tongue there. And then it just is such a thick, robust, like milk chocolate there on the mid. Like that is fantastic. Like milk chocolate, maybe there's some vanilla there. It is pretty sweet there on the mid palate. And then like moving over to the finish, like I get tobacco-y, leathery finish, and it's very spicy as well, like a black pepper spice there on the finish. That's killer. Man, it's like I breathe out with that sweetness, confectionery sugar sweetness, with that oaky barrel spice that thing that's got going on. Like it tastes cola profile there, kind of like that sugary, peppery, carbonated cola profile that you can get a lot of times. That is fantastic. So sweet, so much pepper, hints of like that rye spice, a lot of milk chocolate, and then it just gets cut. So sweet up front, and then I love like that tobacco oak flavor that just kind of cuts that sweetness profile going into the finish there. Like that's fantastic. So now like I'm not the biggest toasted fan, but like I really dig this Peerless Toasted. But you know, the overall robustness on the nose and palate, I think that this double oaked rye takes the cake across the board. This is where it's at. Like, I mean, like even if you're not a rye drinker, like this is like a barely legal rye. There is not much rye spice. Like it is really like it's just like that peppery profile that's just kind of like enhancing the drinking experience. And it's just like a light rye spice there. So like don't be intimidated by it being a double oaked rye. Like it drinks way more like a bourbon, just a peppery bourbon. So double oaked rye in first. I'd go the Peerless Toasted in second. I don't know. I just really dig that like huge butterscotch pop that is just quickly cut with all those leather and tobacco notes. Like I think that's pretty perfect to me for, you know, a toasted product. And you know, like I don't really. I mean, like this double oak is fantastic, and like this is just a fantastic pick. Like if you have an opportunity to get a Peerless bourbon pick, like I think you're going to be pretty pleased. I mean, I know the Mash and Drum does a great job, but you know, still, like this is a fantastic pick. So I would probably put the double oaked, you know, up next with the Peerless bourbon. So again, if we're going by price, you know, that double oaked and the toasted, I paid about like $115 for them both, and then these were both closer to $90. So again, guys, those are my thoughts on Peerless. I think you can't really go wrong with any of them. I have the rye up there as well. Huge fan of that one. But today we were just talking about bourbons and I guess the double oaked rye because it drinks like a bourbon. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you have, would you please consider giving me a like? Would you please consider subscribing? And as always, my name's Tanner. This is Neat Bourbon. And pop the bottles and share the pours. And we'll see you in the next one.